Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers that cover the NFL daily. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here are your hosts, Erin Summers and Todd Graffagnini.
Thought there's obviously some good, some bad, some lessons along the way, which is all to be expected for this group as we continue to build this thing each and every day.
Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast. Erin Summers here alongside Todd Graffagnini, brought to you as always by Rouse's Markets. We just wrapped up Saints preseason game number 1. We're going to break down everything that happened in the 27-13 loss. Todd, we saw Spencer Rattler get the start, quarterback, and then Tyler Shuck came in late, had a 2-minute drill at the end of the second quarter, and then it was Jake Haener that wrapped things up. What was your kind of overall analysis of how all three did?
I think, Kellen Moore summed it up best. You saw some good, you saw some bad, you saw some learning opportunities for all three guys. But you saw the potential as well for all three. I think especially Rattler and Shuck are going to be kicking themselves when they watch the film because there were some missed opportunities for bigger plays. But as you have to do in this league, you got to bounce back. You got to forget the bad plays and keep your head down and give yourself an opportunity to make a good one. And we saw that with Tyler Shuck, who immediately after throwing a pick six, 4 plays later threw a 54-yard touchdown pass to Mason Tipton, one of the best plays that we've seen in training camp. And so that's what you got to see. But again, you got to think about it. Spencer Rattler is still basically a rookie in this league when you're talking about actual games played.
You mentioned up and down day for Spencer Rattler. Here's his thoughts on his performance today.
Too much up and down. We started pretty well. Kind of stalled out in a few drives. A couple misreads, just not great execution, not how you want it. I thought I left some plays out there as a group. Thought we could have been better on third down, and then we got to finish in that red zone after the muffed punt. On 4th and 1. Had some good moments, some bright moments, but got to be more consistent throughout the game.
Tyler Shuck, that was his first ever NFL action. And the first time he steps on the field, it's a 2-minute situation. Mm-hmm. So, talk about baptism by fire.
Yeah, I think I was super excited to go out there and just rip it. You're coming in the situation, you know what it is. You got to go out there and operate. And, Kevin said all those guys, all tight ends, the O-line, they did a really good job of, yards after the catch, protecting. So it was just fun to kind of get in there and get right to it.
Talk about the one that you hit to Mason.
Yeah.
That was a major league move on his part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he ran a really good route. They were kind of sitting all day. Obviously, after the pick, we realized they're really kind of playing back. So he ran a really good route, double move, took the top off. He had really good protection. He went out and got it.
Last year for me lacked the big play. You know what I mean? So I'm just glad that a year later I can finally get one in the paint and knock it off the list.
What does that say about Kellen that drive right after that pick six that he kind of dials up that aggressive play call?
Mm-hmm.
Give Tyler a shot there.
I think it's self-explanatory, man. I think it tells you the kind of coach and the kind of play caller that Kellen is, man. He's never going to take his foot off the gas, and everybody's going to make mistakes. But like you said, man, pick six, fumble, bad play, he's going to come back swinging, and that's what we're going to do. Just keep playing, keep swinging, and going to make that play.
Jake Haener only got a couple of series. He did throw an interception, but was able to take the team down and get a field goal at the end by Charlie Smith. So good for Smith to kick the 50-yarder.
Yeah, I think for all three, there's going to be some good moments. There's going to be some moments we want to have back. We get to learn from those, get better this week. I thought, Spence did some good stuff coming out of there, using his feet in some situations where he had some avoided zone areas. He was able to make some plays out of it. Probably for us, just playing some situational football, we were close on getting in the range for some points, and we just weren't able to get those things done. Tyler played a little bit more just between the second and third quarter. Great great 2-minute drive right before the half. I thought he did some really good things there. He felt under control. I thought he managed the situations really, really well. You throw a pick, you got to respond. And obviously no one wants to throw an interception. The way he responded was really, really good. For him to come back and handle that, from an emotional standpoint really well, I thought that was awesome. And then he made a big play to tip there. And, Jake, just the way it played out, Jake only had those last 2 drives. He hopped in there, obviously, unfortunately. He had us moving, and then, unfortunately, the pick again. So, a big lesson for us is just we got to protect the football.
Yeah, it was good, bad, and, the ugly was really, to me, Erin, the injuries, especially just so early in the game. You knew center Eric McCoy wasn't going to play. Everybody else on the starting offensive line was in the ball game. Will Clapp is playing for McCoy, and you're expecting him to play a bunch, and in the second play of the game, he goes down. And it was just it started a trend that really continued for a lot of the game, and that was pretty unfortunate because we've really been nick and injury free for the entirety of training camp up to this point.
Yeah, it was tough to see Clapp go down. It was just the second play of the game on the offensive side of the ball, and it was Torricelli Simpkins who came in at center. He's somebody who has come in and gotten some snaps at center because Clapp and Kyle Hergel, who had been coming in, they were having some errant snaps here and there. And so Simpkins was somebody that has been moving up the depth chart there, and he got thrown into the fire today very early, played the entire game. And for that to be his first NFL experience, his response was incredible.
I thought he held his own. I mean, Kellen Moore just was heaping praises on him. By the way, we are live in the bowl of the SoFi Stadium. There's a Pee Wee football game going on right now as we do this podcast, in case you want to know what the outside noise are. But yes, shout out to Simpkins. I mean, he was outstanding today, and you talk about above and beyond the call of duty. He certainly performed that this afternoon.
I think one area that made things more difficult for all of the quarterbacks in was the lack of the run game. It was really hard for that to get established. Kendre Miller got the first reps at running back, and they really tried to feed him the ball several times, but it was just the offensive line had a hard time throughout the game, regardless of who was in and out, really holding up and allowing those running lanes to get established.
No doubt, and that just makes it really, really difficult on the quarterbacks. There is no running game.
No doubt. We certainly feel like, we need to run the football better than we did today. Missed some opportunities there. Weren't able to get, any explosives really out of it. And so something that, we got to focus in. We got to play better in that aspect.
Throw on top of that, a lot of time during the game that they didn't have a lot of time to throw the ball. I mean, Shuck was sacked a couple times. Rattler was sacked, and it was a strip sack, and he lost the football, and that led to the first points of the ball game. The Chargers had 18 points off Saints turnovers. I mean, you're not going to win any game turning the ball over like that, especially when with the strip sack and then the pick six. But yeah, no, that's something the coaching staff is really going to keep a close eye on tonight, watching the film of this game and seeing how that run game can improve. And maybe a lot of it has to do with the personnel that was on the field. I mean, you did not have your first team offensive linemen on the field most of the game, all together. And I'm telling you, Erin, Eric McCoy is such a difference maker. And we saw it last year when he got hurt, and we saw it today when he wasn't in there. You would have hoped Will Clapp could have played, but he did not. But Eric McCoy is someone who calls out all the defensive checks, and he's like a quarterback as a center, if that makes any sense. So yes. Hopefully, I would imagine that McCoy and the other guys on the line, and we're going to have to see about Trevor Penning because he left as well. But I would assume that we're going to see as much of that starting O-line as we can against the Jaguars next Sunday.
You mentioned Trevor Penning. He did leave with an undisclosed injury. Kellen Moore said that it was also Bub Means and Mason Pline who left the game as well. Didn't give any details on what the injuries were, how long they would be out. So we'll have updates as we hear more. They're going to obviously get evaluated. They have a day off tomorrow, and then Tuesday they'll be back at practice. So we'll hear more as the next few days unfold. Mason Tipton, we mentioned, had the one touchdown, but Velus Jones Jr. really showed off his speed, especially in the return game. Physical.
Again, this is a converted wide receiver that's playing running back, And when he gets the ball out in space, he looks like a wide receiver. So this is going to be someone who's going to be very valuable to this team. And he certainly made an impact today and made an impression on everybody who watched.
Yeah, his name came up a lot on the broadcast. Joel Myers and John Shinscombe were talking a lot about the flashes that he had throughout the game. Isaiah Stallbird, somebody who also, I think, popped in a big way in the defensive side.
The man was everywhere. He made 4 tackles defensively, and he made 3 more on special teams, including one on a kickoff return where he just annihilated the returner. So you want to make an impact, you want to make an impression on your coaches, not only do it as a linebacker, but do it on special teams as well. And that is he was all over the field. So great job by Isaiah Stallbird to really make a big-time impression on this game today.
That's definitely how you solidify a spot, when you can contribute on special teams and defense as well. Fadil Diggs, late round pick, He had a sack, and Chris Rumpf also had a sack. So good moments as the game went on for some players that there are spots available at those positions.
Well, it was good to see Diggs really back up that 3-sack performance on Friday in the scrimmage with one against the Chargers. So big-time motor off the edge, and again, that was good. Chris Rumpf had the sack. You know, Erin, those linebackers that the Saints have right now, you can really early on in this camp and preseason say that that's the position of strength on this team. We didn't even talk about Danny Stutzman, who played pretty much the entire first half, and he made plays. Nephi Sewell was in there a bunch, along with Stallbird. We didn't even talk about Jalen Ford. He led the team in tackles today with 8. He's really come on since the team moved out to California for training camp. So it's a position we're going to have to keep monitoring as camp goes along.
Definitely, and as camp continues to go along, we're going to be here in Irvine until Friday. There's rumors that there might be a joint practice with the Rams at some point during this week. They're going to go through that process, talk to the medical staff, and see if they feel comfortable having a joint practice, as we just saw a little Pee-wee touchdown down here.
Pee-wee touchdown.
There's still a lot of action happening inside SoFi Stadium. As far as the coaching staff goes, head coach Kellen Moore, first-time head coach, said that the communication was good process that he had between all of the coaches. They felt like they operated there at a high level, so that's good that they're kind of ironing out some things there as well. All right, that'll do it for the first preseason game. Next practice is Tuesday. We'll have you covered everything that you need there. Of course, there's a ton more coverage, videos, photos, interviews online right now, NewOrleansSaints.com. So make sure you check out everything from the first preseason game, and then stay tuned as we continue to build, turn some things around here in Game 2, which will be next week, back in the Superdome. Thanks so much for listening to us right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast.
Yeah, we all want to play well. We all had ups and downs. We all just want to play consistent, move the chains, move the ball, and find ways to score points, and got to be better in that area.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Rouse's Markets. Join us 3 times per week on NewOrleansSaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets.